And welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is the podcast that helps you discover your psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts. And today we want to talk about how energy healing can improve your psychic abilities. Recently, we had Dr. Bill on our podcast doing a scientific energy experiment. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, please go back and check it out and experience what he guides us through in that scientific experiment. And don't forget to send him feedback, please. There's links in those show notes as well. So with that, we wanted to just follow this up with an episode on how energy healing can enhance your psychic abilities, because this is something that Dr. Bill found in his studies that we discussed in that episode, and we want to further deepen our understanding of how this can affect our integration of our psychic gifts and how it can bring up activations and how that all works and how we can experience that.
You know, and it's not so easy to be receptive if you don't have your health. I always say, if you don't have your health, you don't have much, man, just existing. And the ability to kind of harmonize our energy in whatever way feels good for us, that feels healthy, is a huge energizing awareness, meaning we're less distracted on the physical ailments and more open and receptive to the metaphysical communications. And it's a little bit easier to receive that energy and hold it without having to go back and forth with health and this and this and that and this and that. And the ability to kind of create a new vibe of receptivity will give you more of a relaxed energy to receive about people, circumstances, and experiences, less distracted and more focused and aware.
So let's talk about how to create that new vibe, because that is the most important piece of tuning ourselves into different energetic channels that can be more healing for us and really good for us overall. So a lot of times we'll experience a really amazing healing session from like a Reiki practitioner or a Jinshin Jitsu practitioner, maybe cranial sacral. Of course, I'm mentioning all the ones that I practice because, that's me. And, we'll experience these beautiful sessions and then we'll be like, okay, and then we go home and what do? So after experiencing these beautiful healing sessions, no matter what type of energy work you're experiencing, entrain how that feels and ask your body's wisdom, and ask your higher self and be like, hey, I would like you to remember how this feels. Because a lot of times we can heal ourselves just by putting ourselves in an energetic vibration through a memory, through a feeling, through a moment of time where we felt amazing. So we really want to work with entraining our senses and asking our spirit team to help us stay on what we call the healthy channel or the healthy vibe, or feeling good, or feeling activated, or feeling healed, or amazing, or fluid, or we feel like our energy is flowing. So when we are experiencing these openings of energetic pathways, or feeling healthy, or feeling amazing, we want to take ourselves back into that energy, because again, time and space, it's an illusion. It's all happening now. So the more that we can activate that healthy channel by remembering it's all here, right now, we just have to tune into that channel. It will help create this expanded energy field for us to play in. And then that creates what we call this healthy vibration that we can live our lives in.
And I think being able to have a dynamic of reference, and what I mean by that is sometimes a person, I don't know what healthy is. I've been dealing with this for many years, and I'll say that I certainly understand that. But has there ever been a time in your life, even as a child, that maybe you felt healthy or happy or receptive to life? And if you have ever had an experience, I always share the fact that take a few minutes, sit down, and just recall that experience. You're not making stuff up. You're recalling a real memory, a cellular memory. And being able to put that new energy of healthy pattern to where you're at now is a huge key to success. And being able to keep that healthy vibe with you. Because a lot of times what will happen for a person is they've been diseased in whatever dynamic is, and they've gotten used to that, and then they'll have a healing and it will feel amazing. And then on average, the average person will start to go, this feels amazing. And then they'll start to bring up the old pattern of how it did feel so that they get the comparison of, oh, this feels amazing. And what the person doesn't realize is by going back into that dis-ease mode, you're only reconnecting that dis-ease mode and kind of pushing off to the side the healthy mode. The ability to in any way feel healthy for us on the inside will also allow us in a spiritual psychic mediumship to traverse that inner space astronaut. We're not fearing that we will find a pocket of disease. It's like, hey, I'm feeling good. Cool. I've got complete open receptive energy flow. And when we can let that energy flow in many different ways, not only does it flow from us, but it flows to us. It's always an energy exchange in a beautiful way. And it's that kind of a connection that the more we as healers, and everyone is just like a psychic medium because you heal yourself in this case, we are only the facilitators, but you can be a good facilitator. And that person can accept that new vibe with healthfulness. But not only that, for myself in doing the psychic mediumship aspect, there are times every so often, and the person is open and receptive, I'll be doing a healing for a person, and I'll start picking up information about psychic dynamics for them, or sometimes mediumship, that their people, their loved ones from the other side will come through and start communicating. And all I'm doing is connecting with that person's energy. However, our soul print of consciousness is very unique. Your loved ones know who you are, so they can easily come in and go, oh, hey, that Jamie guy's big head's lit up, so he's more receptive. Hey, ding, ding, ding. And let's talk with him and see what he's going to do. Now we get into the multitasking, because not only am I in the healing modality, I'm in the receptivity of that connection with loved ones or psychic information. And when we can pick that energy up in a pristine or clean vibe of communication, it's a little bit easier for the person to understand that this is for you, not for me. This is a gift, and all you have to do is be open. And the ability to open to receive energy is a big dynamic, because on average, we don't want to receive the negative. Well, what do you want to do? I want to receive the positive. Good, then stay on that channel. And it sounds like semantics, playing on words, but the way we approach things, it approaches us. Kind of like that, no longer do I ask to be kept protected because I felt I needed to be kept protected from oddball energies, until Chi, my master guide, pointed out the fact to go, Jamie, you have the right intent. However, if you keep asking the universe to keep you protected, it will continue to bring you more circumstances to keep protected about. Now, I kind of equate that into the diseasement. I don't ask for a healing of the diseasement. I give gratitude for the easement of health already attained, and let that energy vibe into its own within their beingness, because they are the ones who are allowing this to be integrated within their essence.
We always focus on the harmony, not the disharmony. If you study any energetic healing modality, that is going to be the first thing you learn. You focus on the wholeness, the completeness, the all that is energy, and then also you focus on, look how beautifully harmonized this person is. And the body, it might look all crooked on a table. It might show you all these different things, because the body is just an expression of how energy has accumulated, or how it's moving or not moving, whether it's blocked, whether it's flowing. Your body will express these things, but that's not what we focus on. We focus on how it's perfect, how it's harmonious, how it's part of this whole. And it's amazing. I've had so many healing sessions that, I'm doing a cranial session or a Jin Shin Jitsu session, and people's guides will step forward. And this happens for myself as a practitioner, and it also happens for the people on the table. And somehow when energy pathways are opening up in the body, or they're reaching deeper states of relaxation, these energy pathways open up, and then they allow ourselves to sink and to deepen into more of a relaxed place, more of a relaxed relaxed, receptive nature of who we are. And that's when our teams can step forward and be like, hey, and sometimes it's loved ones as well, just like you said. And sometimes it's guides, and sometimes it's, our starseed connections. There's so many things that can come when we are opening up, when our energy is flowing, when it's focused on this beautiful harmony and this beautiful healing. There's so many expressions that could take place. And some people are like, I want to experience my guides coming again. And every session's going to be different. It's about allowing yourself to relax into the opening of energetic pathways, because that's really what healing is. We want our energy to be free. We want our energy to be fluid. We want our energy to open and expand into the reaches of the oneness, the reaches of the eternal, the holographic energy of who you are as a beautiful eternal soul print of consciousness. And so when we can activate healing energy in our bodies and it's not just our physical bodies. When I say bodies, I'm talking about our emotional bodies, our mental bodies, our spiritual bodies, our physical bodies. We are all one. We separate things saying, hey, I've got a pain in my hip. But that pain in your hip could also be something that was caused by an emotional trauma when you were 10 years old. We don't know always what the cause is. Our bodies express the effects, and then that creates either discomfort or pain or illness or dis-ease. Those accumulated energies get locked somewhere in our energy bodies, and then eventually it will manifest in the physical world. But that's the last stage that it manifests. It's probably happened way before the manifestation. Very rarely do you see things energetically moving down a pathway that manifests immediately. Now that can happen, but that's not typically what we see as healers. We see, oh, okay, there's something that's been accumulating here that eventually led to this condition. And so really we want to clean house. Really, we're cleaning our energy bodies. And this happens on multiple levels. And when it happens, it frees up your energy to open you to your natural psychic senses, your natural abilities. And a lot of times we talk about, well, I was so open as a child, and then when I grew up, they all went away. Yeah, because life got hard, right? We had reactions. We had emotional reactions and responses. We had mental things to wrap our head around, a belief system, whether we believe it now or not. We had these things when we were little that we had to, kind of take on as part of our human experience. So when we are unraveling these energy pathways, not only are we healing the body, we are healing maybe an old belief system, maybe an old emotional reaction or emotional trigger. There can be trauma stored in the body. There can be all kinds of things that we hold. And so we are opening these up to return us to more of a natural state of what we're meant to be. We come here with a beautiful, open, energetic expression of energy when we're born, but life gets a little bit difficult. Life has a lot of conditioning with it on this planet. And so it's our job. It's our job to unravel that and to allow this energy to return to more of a natural state that naturally awakens these psychic centers up, whether it's our ability to communicate to our loved ones, our guides, whether it's the ability to communicate with the natural world around us. We're experiencing these openings in so many ways.
And the ability to connect with your guides is mediumship, right? Connecting with a spirit, an entity, a being outside of a physical body. Now, there are also times, because we do have our spiritual team, and for me, they know what their expertise is. And what I mean by that is if I'm dealing with a pool problem, I'm going to have a guide who deals with pool problems, not someone who deals with an air conditioner and has no clue. There are times when someone will be doing a healing modality, and maybe one of those teammates of that person who's doing the healing will come to them and go, hey, you're doing the healing thing. You know what? We could be the team because we are the team already, but here's another aspect that I can help you with. And they have their expertise, but not only that, you're now bridging power in numbers. you're now amplifying. And more than likely, whoever that guide might be that comes to offer their help, you pretty much have them established already as safe and harmonized, or they wouldn't be on your team, basically. So it becomes a little bit easier because, one, you're instantly doing mediumship. Two, that you're working with them in an amplified way of healing. And three, that healing modality is enough of an energy to lighten up the vibe so that people become more receptive to receiving information psychically as well.
And, I was mentored by an amazing energy healer. Now, my mentor, Marion, at the age of 36, he was diagnosed with blood cancer, riddled through his whole body, given 6 weeks to live. And at the age of 20, he made an agreement with his spirit team. And he had a gatekeeper. John was his gatekeeper. And John came to him and he was at a party, right? And the whole room just kind of everything stood still. And John showed up and came to him and said, "Hey, we have a mission for you in this lifetime. We have a job for you." And in that moment where time stood still, John showed him everything that he could accomplish in this lifetime of his and how he was going to do that. And the only thing that John asked of him was, "Hey, we would like you to open up to channel our energy when we want to come through." And these are energies of archangels, energies of guides for people, very big entities. And at that time, at 20 years old, he agreed. Well, then he lived his life. And he didn't do the things that he agreed to do, or didn't spend the time learning how to do the things that he had agreed to do. And he got really busy. He was running 4 restaurants and working his butt off 20 hours a day and going down all the wrong roads. He was an alcoholic. He wasn't spending time with his family. He was working too much. And one day he dropped. Boom. Just dropped on the floor. Taken to the hospital, diagnosed, given 6 weeks to live, and one of the rarest forms of cancer that had been known at that time. Only 100 people had been diagnosed in the United States, and the mortality rate was 99%. So he was basically, ready to check out. Like, "Hey, you're not going to do what you're here to do. Boom, you're done." And he said, "Wait a minute. I have all these things that I agreed to. I have all these things. I'm not done. I'm ready to live life now. I'm seriously ready." And so he was fortunate enough to live another 32 years. Okay. Now, because of what he had done to his body, and because energy, when it becomes stagnant, it accumulates, right? So he was not going down this expanded road that had been laid out before him. He was an alcoholic. He was working too much. He wasn't doing the things that were helping him heal or helping him do what he was here to do. And so at that time, when he had that wake-up call, and it was a wake-up call, this is a tower moment, a 2x4, when you're smacked upside the head saying, "Hey, what the heck you doing? Are you going to do what you said you were going to do? You agreed to this. What's going on?" And so he went through massive chemotherapy, massive radiation, several full-body blood transfusions for 14 years, in accompaniment with a ton of experimental drugs, because he was just trying everything and anything to survive. He also got introduced to all kinds of alternative healing modalities. And because of that, he became an amazing healer. I met him in 1994, 14 years after he had been diagnosed. And he had just went into remission within that month that I met him. And so he healed that cancer, went into remission, but his body was riddled. His body was damaged from the radiation, from the chemotherapy, from those experimental drugs. So I was taught energy healing from a person who was an amazing healer and had survived beyond all odds, yet he was in pain every day of his life. And you know what? Nobody ever knew. Nobody ever knew. And he didn't talk about it. This is one thing he never, ever talked about. He never said, I hurt. He never said, I wish the pain would go away. He would not even address it. In fact, he had the best attitude I have ever seen. He was always positive, always smiling, always loving. And underneath that all, he hurt like hell every day. But he never acknowledged it, because if he gave it 1 ounce of his energy, he was feeding the problem, not the solution. So I was trained to really focus on positive attitudes and how amazing they can be for healing energy, because I watched him do it. I absolutely watched him do it. Now, eventually, he served his purpose. He lived the life he agreed to live. He channeled beautiful entities. He brought forth guides and angels and amazing beings that I got to interact with and connect with. And they also helped him heal. So when he opened himself up to what he was here to do, he also received a lot of healing from spirit as well. Now, I'm telling this story not to say that we have to go through that. Okay, he was like, don't do what I do. He's like, I paved the way. I blazed a trail. You don't have to blaze another one. Just take what I'm teaching you about how to approach your healing process, how to approach your life from a positive outlook, because that will allow you to live life. And he was happy, and he had the most amazing willpower on this planet that I've ever seen. So if you are out there dealing with a serious dis-ease, okay, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to heal this. No, but he is an example of, hey, you can still fulfill your soul purpose, and you can still have love in your heart. You can still have happiness in your life, and you can still support and do what you're here to do.
I kind of find it interesting that more than likely the angels or whoever gave him that healing modality and he made that deal with probably had a pretty good idea that he wasn't going to complete that in the beginning. He just needed to initiate that to go, okay, I'm ready to heal. Now, another dynamic is not that everything's perfect for us, but as the healer or the facilitator, that person that you're working with on the healing aspect is now completely open to your energy vibe. That's why for myself, I don't focus on any dis-ease at all, only the easement of healthy vibes, and let that person of their own choice entrain into that vibrational pattern of health fullness. And when they can do that, they get that solid reaction to go, whoa, I don't understand it, I just experienced it. Now, not only that, it brings up an interesting point for Marion, and that is when he was channeling these beings, did he channel any of them while he was doing a healing modality, or maybe while he was going through chemo or other aspects?
Yeah, his body was really damaged from, so he had a healer named Shaolin, who is Cantonese, so he didn't speak English. So Marion was a full trance channel. When he went into channeling, his consciousness was not present at all. He was in his own little bubble somewhere in the ethers, right? So Shaolin would only speak Cantonese, so it was very hard to understand him, but you'd have to read his energy, basically, to understand him. And he would move energy through his body, activate energy centers. He would do some weird things with his hands that I'm now understanding what they mean by my studies of traditional Chinese medicine and things like that. And he would also he had many healers. Okay. So Shaolin was just one. There was another one called Tomas, and he also worked with another one called Adam. Adam was an actual physician when he lived here on Earth. Tomas was an energy healer from a different time frame. And so he had several healers that worked on his body to keep him going, to keep his body going, because his body was just very, very damaged. So yes, he was able to have help from his spirit team, and I think that was part of the agreement that they made. Hey, if you channel us, we'll also help in any way that we can.
Bringing up an interesting point is with the channeling energy, not only is it the healing of the physical body, but maybe the emotional body, the spiritual body.
Yes. And Marion, he always said, I didn't know him this way, but he was like, I was the biggest a-hole. I don't want to say that on the air, but I was the biggest a-hole you've ever seen. It's like he created these, he knew he did this. He created these circumstances that were argumentative, that would cause fights, that could easily get him killed. And he did it deliberately because he was self-sabotaging himself. And that energy, when it self-sabotage, when it turns inward, will create disease in the body. That could be one of the causes that created his cancer. And he could have had other causes too that weren't diagnosed when he was alive, because there's more genetic energy or genetic studies out there now that it could have been genetic. We don't know, actually, because that was then, and it was before genetics had really gotten to this time of history. But there was so much emotional dis-easement within his field. Now, I didn't know him like that. I had no idea you would never know he was like that, but that's what he would be like. That's the way it was. And so he was very private about his past, I would say his past life, but his previous experiences. You know, he was very intelligent. He was just one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. When I met him, he was loving, so non-judgmental. The faith he had was just like, it was like walking into a spiritual like energy all the time. It was magnificent to train with him and to be around him so much. So he was like the shining example to me. Yet he came from an example that was not very shining. You know, so there is a way to transform your entire life, not just one aspect of his life, because his healing was not just for his body. It was for his emotions. It was for his beliefs. It was for his intentions. It was for his whole being. And it was extremely transformative. And it allowed him to harness this amount of energy. And he was one of the most amazing healers I've ever seen. He was magnificent. He could heal by walking in a room. He could heal by just a thought. And it was amazing to learn, to study. And it wasn't hard. These are innate abilities that we all have. It's just a matter of unraveling our own healing process so we can access deeper states of healing within ourselves and then be able to hold, like you said, Jamie, hold that vibrational state for others to tune themselves into.
Look at the dynamics within that, and that is these masters, in this case, archangels and whoever else, even though his health dynamic was the way that it was, did not necessarily saturate his soul. So now we begin to realize that there's the potential that this physical vehicle is only a vehicle to house your soul print of consciousness. Just because there could be dis-ease in the physical body does not mean that there's dis-ease within the metaphysical body or the conscious awareness. And in that, Mary was very genuine. Hey, I was a a-hole. And so even though in those years he was that way as he perceived it, and maybe others perceived it, he still was working in a spiritual way. So it now becomes, what way feels good for you? What way do you want to connect with the essence of the healthy vibe? Because more than likely, for me, I always talk about Dr. Masaru Emoto and the molecular structure of water that's affected by thoughts. To me, if you're doing psychic, channeling, healing, you are vibing other conscious awarenesses through your cellular structure and your molecular structure. That can also amplify a healthier vibe. And I'm wondering if maybe that could have been a contributing factor as to how he was having these soul prints roll through him that did give him different avenues of healthfulness in order to keep going for all of those years, way beyond the 6-week period of, he's like, really? Really, is it? Watch this. And created a whole new way shower.
Well, and channeling was sometimes hard on his physical body, too. There were times that he wasn't doing well. And, you know, the guys, I call them the guys because he channeled many different entities. The guys would be like, you know, we're not going to be coming through too much right now because his body can't take this vibration at the moment.
So notice they understood where his vibe was. They're not going to overwhelm him to shut him down. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying is that's the teamwork. They can refine it, go, oh, your physical body's like that. However, your metaphysical body's a little bit different. So we'll approach it and we'll know when to approach that within the cellular structure of this body, so that it's not at the low frequency. We're going to keep it high. And then it sounds like Marion, in his own way, was able, little by little, to entrain to keep him around for many years, that apparently 99.9% of the people checked out. And so it became that discipline. And he was using his psychic abilities. He was tuning in. Did it give him an opportunity to maybe psychically tune into someone's energy and pick up diseasing aspects of that person? How did that work for him? Do you know?
Oh, yeah. He was such a great healer. He could intuitively or psychically really feel into what needed to be healed, how it could be healed. The way that he worked with energy was amazing. And most of his energy work was remote. He didn't even have to put his hands on you. Very rarely did he need to do that. He had insomnia because of, partly I think because of how much pain he was in. He couldn't always sleep. So he'd just be working all the time. He'd be doing a couple things, but he was always sending energy. He was always focusing energy. So he was literally a living, walking example of what you could do energetically with your intention, with your heart, with just this positive energy in the world. It's an amazing example. So studying under someone like that, it's like if I have any aches and pains, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm totally not even going to talk about this. I'm good. I'm always going to be good because I watched him focus on the positive, focus on only the energy that could be healing and loving and nourishing, for himself and for others as well. He was an amazing example. And I wish everyone could know him. Now, because of his example, I've been offering remote energy healing sessions for a while. Some people vibe with them, some people don't. Everyone's completely different. But recently, in the past few years, I've had some activations from Green Terra. I've had some activations from Archangel Raphael. I've had an activation from actually the Christ consciousness as well. So I have been really guided to put together a new healing type of session, which is a remote session. It can also be done in person if you're local here in Phoenix. I'd love to do that as well. But it is to work with these entities that have approached me, have taught me things on my own. Also with all the energy healing that Marion has shared with me, I'm going to be offering these healing sessions. They are extremely experimental. I haven't done these before, so I did one this morning. But other than that, they're extremely experimental. So the cost is kept way down. It's only going to be $33. Plan on 30 minutes. And if you're interested in trying that, I'd be happy because right now it is an experimental phase for my healing journey. I have been in energy healing. I have been training with energy healing since 1994. I know a lot of different modalities, but this is purely energetic. It's purely working with my spirit team and those specific Archangel Raphael and Green Terra energies. So if you're interested or if you want more information, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask any questions about that as well. We'll put a link in the show notes for that.
That's another dynamic is for me, I learned that you can put that healing channel on a channel so that you can be doing other things and it's still playing. Because again, if you need to sit and focus on it, then do it. It's perfect. It's whatever works for you. But I also like the versatility that I don't necessarily have to do it in person. It can be at a distance because there really is no distance. As Mag was sharing, it's all now. And when we're able to kind of work with some of those parameters and go beyond that to allow people to heal themselves, that is my high. And I share the fact that for myself, my big connection, in this case with the quantum healing, was we were practicing and we were doing healing modalities and taking turns. And there was this young lady that I was working on, and she was talking about her neck being really whacked out and some other dynamics. Well, during the session, and they call it soft hands, you don't do anything, you're just the conduit kind of thing. But when I had my hands on her neck, all of a sudden, brrp, it all went into, I'm like, I didn't do anything. I could feel the energy flow through me, but that's when I got hooked. Now, I did not say anything to her. I wanted to see if there'd be any response to it. And when we were complete with that, she's like, oh, my neck went back in. I'm like, I'm hooked. I'm freaking hooked.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because it was a very real-time experience to go, I felt the energy flowing through me, but it wasn't me. I was just the conduit. She in her own, I could feel her bones, whatever they were doing, realign. That was amazing to me because I also entrained how that felt, how that experience was so that I can recall it at any time in any way. So it was really cool to get whatever works for you because that became one of the catalysts to get me to do other healing modalities as well. Versatility. Not every approach might work at a particular dynamic, so versatility is a good key to success.
I love that story because remember, guys, everybody is a healer. Everybody is a psychic medium. Everybody can open energetic pathways. This is not complicated. This is so easy. It's just tuning. It's allowing the flow and maybe learning. Some of us feel good if we learn techniques. So if that helps you, learn Reiki, learn quantum healing, learn Jin Shin Jitsu, learn cranial sacral, whatever helps you. And I love all the modalities. I practice a few of them myself because I find them so effective and so efficient for people. But no matter what, your intention is the most important thing. Where are you putting your focus? Where are you putting your intention? Have the attitude of gratitude, stay positive and loving, and energy will open up within you and you can heal.
And not only heal yourself, but help others to heal. And that vibrational pattern, literally, you can just walk into a room and shift that energy vibe. Those people of their own choice will choose to shift that conscious pattern. And I love that because there are times when you can walk into a room and it just is like it's a really good energy. And, you know, depending on what the energy is, there can also be other people who can walk in that can bring the energy down. So it's that kind of just do you, just be the genuine you, because truly in the healing modality, we're just a conduit. That's it. We are the magic that allows it to flow through us. That kind of a connection is, notice with Marion as well, how many different beings or entities were willing to work with him. And yet he was still in a circumstance that was in a human concept. Not a lot was known about that particular physical symptom. And yet he was able to overcome that in any and every way he could in order to have a longer life. He went from 6 weeks to many years of doing this. And that was a huge aspect that, again, it will help you to help yourself. It's, are you open for it?
And there's a reason that even cancer centers in America say, watch funny movies, laugh, smile as much as you can, raise your vibration, because this is now scientifically being proven. This is taught in cancer centers. Go watch a funny movie. Lighten up your energy, get into that positive realm because it's helping people heal and they know this. So we can remember to raise our vibration, stay positive, tune into that channel and have fun with your healing projects.
And not only that, you don't have to wear the other person's energy of disease. Now, I have heard a number of times that there is an oncologist, a doctor who deals with cancer patients, and the doctor ends up dying of cancer. You know, it's kind of interesting that the very doctorship that he was doing to help other people, he apparently picked up that energy vibe enough consistently that it affected his molecular structure, his cells, and all that kind of disease. So my thing is I'm always safe, harmonized, and realized so that no matter what I'm doing, I'm just the conduit and I don't wear anyone else's energy or vibes. It is always pristine, effective, and efficient.
So again, even with energy healing, we want to make sure we have our safety mechanisms in place and our rules and regulations are set to keeping our own personal field of energy harmonized and happy and loving. So thank you guys for joining us today. We are super honored that you tuned in to listen more about energy healing. And we will have links in the show notes for everything that we've mentioned in this podcast. So thank you thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time staying positive, healing, opening your energy, connecting to the psychic energy that floods in when you are in a state of harmony, gratitude, and grace.
And live life.